Manor Lords, a game that has been #1 on my wishlist for quite some time now, and actually probably going to have been topping quite a few of your wishlists as well. But it has been a few months now since we have actually done an update video in the game, and I wanted to check out some of the new awesome features, screenshots and short clips that we've been given over on Twitter to check out how the game's development has continued to progress. But for those of you who haven't heard of Manor Lords before, and I mean, where have you been living, then what is the game actually about? Well, think Total War meets Banished. A combination of not only epic medieval gridless city building, but also hardcore, gritty, real-time combat battles with detailed unit commands and proper battle interface. And this is what really makes the game stand apart, makes it so unique in my opinion. We have seen plenty of medieval city builders, but they almost exclusively ignore or reduce combat to sort of an irrelevant or just poorly implemented sideline so they can really focus on the building elements. Or on the flip side, Total War games have just so dominated the medieval real-time battle scene for years, but they've never really implemented any form of proper city building to any real degree, beyond sort of token gestures that really just determine how much money you have available to build units. From the city building side of things, we already have a really good understanding of some of the core game mechanics. We know the game is going to be featuring gridless building maps where roads develop and erode naturally as peasants walk along between different buildings and their place of work, even though main roads can still be placed, and depending on building locations and terrains, objects will still snap to boundaries where needed. An example might be a field boundary following the edge of the road rather than just being a generic square or rectangle. This is what's going to give Manor Lords its very natural and very realistic look. From some of the new screenshots we get to see the beautifully realistic and frankly very muddy map with puddles starting to develop in the pits of the terrain. And these realistic graphics are a real breath of fresh air in a genre that tends to often be sort of cartoon based. The map itself is going to be divided into around 50 regions, with different regions being able to specialise into different products and resources. Each region is going to get its own tech tree, which can be researched to allow further development of that specific region's specialities. For example, one region might focus on beer making, or another on something like stone crafting or wheat production, but for all regions, only by refining these products into high-end desirable items are they going to be able to attract the merchants into the region who are going to bring and buy those goods for silver. These merchants are going to be the only way to make new money. No random gold mines or tax money out of thin air. Trade is the future. And bear in mind, this is still primarily being developed by one guy, Slavic Magic. And not only is he doing an amazing job from just the visuals and the features development, but it is also his interaction and desire to take feedback from the community that really gives me so much hope for the future of this game. For example, he was recently polling the community as to how unemployed peasants should be treated. Should they be auto-assigned to a building task, auto-farm, hunting, or left for the players to manually assign? It all helps integrate the community into the game and help shape its development to how the bulk of the community wants it to be. More recently, a second character artist, Marcos, has joined the team, and using his previous experience from Kingdom Come Deliverance, he's going to be working on upgrading all the various characters and peasants in the game. The city building side of the game is hugely impressive, and I think this is where a lot of the more bug fixing and development has been really focused over the last 6 months. But people are also going to be hugely interested in the battle and combat side of the game. Troops are going to be, broadly speaking, broken into 3 different types. Firstly, Peasant Militia. These are going to be the people who work in your fields, work in your mines, and you're going to be forcing them to pick up what equipment they can find and fight for their liege lord. Likely to be poorly equipped, these guys are going to be making up the bulk of your armies. These are going to be your largest and most frequent troop, but they do have options to give them better equipment, get them better equipped, issue them with additional protection if you are prepared to spend the money. Mercenaries are then going to be making up the second group. Much better trained, much better equipped, bringing their own equipment with them, but they are going to be very expensive to hire. But their combat prowess may make all the difference in fights with your neighbours. And finally, of course, you're going to have your own Lord's retinue, your elite bodyguards, the soldiers who are well equipped and trained to serve and protect you on the battlefield. Really like the combat direction of the game. It really seems to rival any Total War game in its sort of tactical options, from a really wide variety of unit formations to unit morale, height advantages from holding the hill, charging, flanking, shield walls, cavalry, and frankly, very immersive combat sounds and shouts and sort of general battlefield noises. My point being, it's not an add-on, it's not a side thought or just some sort of gimmick to accompany the main city building game. It's its own distinct entity. It's 50% of the game, and that really adds to the overall game experience, because this is really one of the first games that genuinely tackles both RTS and City Builder as a single game, and it puts them together as one experience. A few other side parts to the game that I really loved. I love that once trade is flowing and prosperity is on the up, you'll have the option to start to tax your subjects to bring in money to your own lord's purse, as this is going to be separate from the regional wealth. You'll also have a few taxation options available, from taxes on trade to levy to support the war effort. You can even charge a tithe, which goes straight to the church, but in return you're going to be gaining their influence and support with the king. I also enjoyed the diplomacy mechanics in the game. From flattery to insults, your relations with other lords can be controlled by sort of building up these letters and using sort of pre-scripted lines with your diplomacy. It's a much cooler way of doing it than just simply pressing a button to declare war. Instead, you send them an insulting letter declaring war. Much better. Overall though, it's great to see that the game's development is continuing well. It seems more recent efforts have been focused on squashing bugs and dealing with any sort of in-game issues. We still don't yet have an ETA for game release, but with a project like this, it is important that the developer has time to fix, sort and get a polished product before we enter any kind of sort of early access or release build. I have seen a few people worrying that the game might be sort of overhyped and how good can it really be? And yes, it is good to sort of keep our expectations in check. The game does seem to be led by a really awesome developer and has so much potential that really for me I've got a really great feeling about the future of this game. But anyway, we will end the video there. As soon as any more details, footage or sort of information comes out about this game, I'll be sure to get it posted, so subscribe to the channel for lots more Manor Lord updates. Any questions or comments, put them down below and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching guys, and see you all on the next video.